Things were calm for 42 seconds. Then someone said, respectfully, and launched an insult. I'm Ethan Blake, and this panel delivered pure political theater.
Time has expired.
Deeply wrong, sir.
Senator Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rabbi, do you believe there are a substantial number of people at Harvard University who believe in diversity, equity, inclusion, and the right to harass Jews?
I do.
That's a yes?
Yes.
And do you believe those people have acted on their self-anointed right to harass Jews?
Yes.
And has the administration at Harvard University allowed that to happen?
Yes.
Is that true at University of California at Berkeley?
Yes.
How about UCLA?
Yes.
How about NYU?
Yes.
A lot of other universities too. Isn't that the case?
That is correct.
Now, Title VI says that if you receive federal money, you can't harass Jews. Isn't that true?
That is correct.
Has the Biden-Harris administration taken away the money of Harvard?
No.
How about Berkeley?
Nope.
How about UCLA?
No, sir.
How about NYU?
No.
They've just talked, haven't they?
That is correct.
Do you think this condoned behavior at these universities, this condoned belief at these universities, and let me state it again, they believe in diversity, equity, inclusion, and the right to harass Jews. It's what they believe. What you do is what you believe. Everything else is just cottage cheese. Do you think that is consistent with their mission as universities?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So above and beyond the question of money, it is the morality, the purpose of higher education in America, is it not?
That is correct.
Ms. Barrett, you are the executive director of the Arab American Institute, is that correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay. And according to your website, you're also, I'm going to quote here, a longtime Democratic Party activist who served as a member of the 2016 Democratic National Convention's Platform Standing Committee, close quote. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You support Hamas, do you not?
Senator, oddly enough, I'm going to say thank you for that question because it demonstrates the purpose of our hearing today in a very
Let's start first
way.
with a yes or no.
Hamas is a foreign terrorist organization that I do not support, but you asking the executive director of the Arab American Institute that question very much puts the focus on the issue of hate in our country.
Well, I got your answer, and I appreciate it. What is the... You support Hezbollah, too, don't you?
Again, I find this line of questioning extraordinarily disappointing,
Is that a
Senator.
no?
That
Or
you
yes?
have Arab American constituents that you represent
is
in
that
your great state.
Yes, ma'am, I understand that, but my time's limited, and I apologize, but is that a yes or a no?
Yes or no question to do I support Hezbollah? The answer is I don't support violence, whether it's Hezbollah, Hamas, or any other entity that invokes it.
You can't
so
bring
no,
yourself
sir.
to say no, can you?
No, I can say no. I can say yes.
But
what
you
I
haven't.
can say is
You just
your
can't
line
make
of
yourself do
questioning.
it. Do you
Senator.
support or oppose Iran and their hatred of Jews?
Again, I'm going to emphasize Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, none of them is going to this
you
discussion.
You can't bring yourself to say no, can
Sir,
you?
I don't support.
It's real simple.
Excuse me. I'm going to,
Ian,
if I may, as a Muslim woman, sir, I'm going to tell you I do not support Iran. But what I will tell you is that this conversation.
I'm running out of time. I'm
okay.
sorry. You called our decision to
Please.
cut funding. You called our decision to cut fund. Well, first, what's the United Nations Relief and Works Agency?
It's UNRWA, which is
Yeah.
the institution that exists to provide services and aid to the nearly 6 million Palestinian refugees.
And you called our decision to cut funding for them, quote, an incredible moral failure, close quote.
That is absolutely correct. But again, I would suggest that conversation is about foreign policy.
We did that because 9 UNRWA staff members were fired for actually helping Hamas on October 7th. Isn't that the case?
I don't believe that that's correct in terms
Let me
Audience,
ask
so
you one more
please.
time. You support Hamas, don't you? You
Sir.
support UNRWA and Hamas, don't you?
Sir,
Please.
I think it's exceptionally disappointing that you're looking at an Arab American witness before you and saying you support Hamas.
You know what's disappointing to me?
I do not
You
support
can't
Hamas.
Bring yourself
I do
to
not
say
support Hamas
You don't
or
support UNRWA. You don't support Hamas. You don't.
I was very
support
clear in my support for
Hezbollah,
UNRWA.
and you don't
I
support Iran.
oppose-
You should hide your head in a bag.
Your time has expired. Please. Ms. Berry, I'm going to allow you to respond to any one or all of those questions at this point.
Senator Durbin, thank you very much for holding this hearing and for elevating the issue of hate crime. It's regrettable that as I sit here, have experienced the very issue that we're attempting to deal with today. The introduction of foreign policy is not how we keep Arab Americans or Jewish Americans or Muslim Americans or black people or Asian Americans, anybody safe. This has been regrettably a real disappointment, but very much an indication of the danger to our democratic institutions that we're in now. And I deeply regret that, and I do hope that my testimony today has been helpful to understanding the need to respond to hate.
Over the weekend, I went to a synagogue in my hometown of Springfield. There was a bar mitzvah for a dear friend of mine. I couldn't help but notice the security guards that were posted for this bar mitzvah. In addition, I went to a meeting where a dear friend of mine, a Jewish friend of mine in Chicago, she's been my friend and worked for me for 40 years, was almost in tears over the anti-Semitism that she has witnessed. She was wearing a Star of David around her neck. And she said, I do that because I won't give up. I won't give up. I thought about it for this hearing, but I also thought about Wadia, a 6-year-old boy. I have a 5-year-old granddaughter. I love her like life itself. I cannot imagine this poor little boy answering the door and losing his life because he's Palestinian. My God, we can't see those things that I've just said in the same sentence without some people saying, oh, you've just chosen sides. I'm not choosing sides here except for the side of, I hope, common decency and democracy. We've got to have this conversation. We've got to do it in a civilized manner. I regret some of the things that were said today at this hearing. But we are a free nation, and that's what happens in a democracy. As sad and as disquieting as it may be, that is part of it. The title of today's hearing was inspired by Dr. King's... Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see Senator Blackburn. I was just concluding. Senator, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
This wasn't a hearing. This was a truth serum injection administered live, and the patient had a violent allergic reaction. What you are about to witness is the political equivalent of flipping over a rock and watching the pale, squirming things underneath scatter in the sudden, harsh light of day. Senator John Kennedy didn't just ask questions, he conducted a moral stress test, and the witness, Maya Berry, failed so catastrophically that it exposed the entire rotten core of the anti-Israel, pro-Hamas sympathy network operating under the guise of activism. First, watch the master at work as he sets the stage. Kennedy isn't just a folksy Southerner, he's a legal predator. He begins by methodically building an inescapable cage of logic around the first witness. He establishes the undeniable fact that our elite universities, Harvard, Berkeley, UCLA, NYU, have become cesspools of sanctioned Jew hatred, all happening under the banner of diversity, equity, and inclusion. With each yes, he extracts, another bar of the cage slams shut. Then comes the kill shot for that segment. If these universities get federal money and Title VI says you can't use that money to harass Jews, has the Biden-Harris administration done anything? No. Nope. No, sir. No. Kennedy's conclusion is devastatingly simple. They've just talked, haven't they? My God, the truth in that stings. The Biden administration is all press releases and no action. They will virtue signal about fighting anti-Semitism while doing absolutely nothing to punish the institutions that cultivate it. They are complicit through their inaction. But that was just the appetizer. The main course was about to be served, and it was poisoned with evasion and deceit. Kennedy turns to Maya Berry, executive director of the Arab American Institute, and he doesn't waste a second. He establishes her credentials not just as an activist, but as a longtime Democratic Party activist, a member of the DNC's platform committee. He's showing you she's not some outsider. She is an insider, a part of the DNC machine. And then he drops the bomb, a question so direct, so fundamental, it leaves no room to hide. You support Hamas, do you not? The air in the room instantly curdles. Watch her reaction. She doesn't say no, a simple one-syllable word, no. Instead, we get the most arrogant, condescending pivot I have ever witnessed. Senator, oddly enough, I'm going to say thank you for that question because it demonstrates the purpose of our hearing. I nearly fell out of my chair. She's thanking him? This is the classic, slimy tactic of the radical left. When confronted with an uncomfortable truth, try to seize the moral high ground by acting as if you're above the question. Kennedy, a man who can smell a lie from a mile away, cuts her off. Let's start first with a yes or a no. He will not let her escape. She finally mutters that she doesn't support the foreign terrorist organization, but immediately pivots again to playing the victim. But you asking the executive director of the Arab American Institute that question very much puts the focus on the issue of hate. No, ma'am, it puts the focus on your allegiances. Kennedy doubles down. Hezbollah? Again, no simple no. Instead, she launches into a pre-canned speech about her Arab American constituents. She is using her own people as a human shield to avoid answering a direct question about a terrorist group. It is disgusting. Kennedy presses again, yes or no. Her response is a masterclass in deception. I don't support violence, whether it's Hezbollah, Hamas, or any other entity. This is the oldest non-denial denial in the book. It's not a no. It's a broad, meaningless statement that allows her to condemn violence in the abstract while refusing to condemn the specific terrorist group in question. Kennedy sees right through it. You can't bring yourself to say no, can you? The silence is her answer. Iran, the world's largest state sponsor of terror, same thing, evasion, pivoting, and then the ultimate shield. If I may, as a Muslim woman, stop right there. This isn't about your religion or your gender. This is about your refusal to condemn evil. It is a desperate, pathetic attempt to make the questioner seem like a bigot for demanding a basic moral stance. And the Unrawa question was the final nail in the coffin. She proudly defends her statement that cutting funding to this corrupt, Hamas-infiltrated organization was a moral failure. Even when Kennedy reminds her that UNRWA staff literally participated in the October 7th massacre, she says, I don't believe that that's correct. She is denying proven facts to defend an organization that funnels our tax dollars to terrorists. Finally, Kennedy, his patience exhausted by the torrent of lies and evasion, looks at her and delivers the verdict that every patriot in America was thinking, you should hide your head in a bag. And then, to top it all off, we get the pathetic spectacle of Senator Dick Durbin, who chairs the committee trying to play the role of the disappointed school principal. He laments the lack of civility and common decency, My God, the moral cowardice. Durbin is more offended by John Kennedy's blunt, truthful questions than he is by a witness who cannot bring herself to unequivocally condemn Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran. He talks about seeing security at a synagogue and a little boy being killed, as if these tragedies exist in a vacuum. He creates a disgusting false equivalence, pretending that holding terrorist sympathizers accountable is somehow the same as the hate they refuse to condemn. No, Senator Durbin, civility does not mean being silent in the face of evil. Decency does not mean allowing liars to get away with their deception. What John Kennedy did today was not a breach of decorum, it was an act of profound patriotism. He ripped the mask off and he showed America exactly who the Democratic Party has invited into its inner circle.